This is the 8th Youth Goal webinar of this year. As you already know, we have been preparing at Youth Proactive the set of Youth Goal webinars in connection with the European Youth Goals, which are a total of 11. And I'm very happy today to welcome you to our 8th Youth Goal webinar focused on sustainable green Europe, reviewing the European Union Green Deal. And we know we just had European elections, 8th of June, so many parliamentary changes, and we know definitely that this is going to be a hot topic in the upcoming months, in the upcoming 5 years probably, and even beyond, this timeline. So I'm very, very happy today, and I'm honored indeed to welcome our esteemed guest, a good friend of Youth Proactive, Eya Hadri. Eya, I'm very happy. Thank you very much for staying here with us today, giving us this time that we know you are a very busy person. And as I'm going to explain, I'm going to give a brief introduction, Eya, of what you are doing. I'm going literally to read it, but in general, as you can see, Eya is the Environmental Project Implementation Manager at R2Eco, which is a sustainable consultancy firm based in Poland. And I don't know for what reason, but here we have the QR codes to what the her Eya's enterprise is doing. However, following this presentation, because I think there is some issue with the QR codes, just give me a second. Maybe. Anyway, give me a second because maybe you can see them. Lovely. So my apologies for this, but I encourage everybody present here today that please scan these two QR codes, English and French, mostly because this is a fantastic overview. Eya is going to explain us more in the upcoming questions and in the conversation we are going to have. But I really encourage all of you to scan these QR codes and learn what Eya's organization is doing in Poland, Europe, and beyond, because I'm very surprising, to see the scope of the work that they are doing, and the vision for the future they have. So thank you very much, Eya, for sharing this. It's a very comprehensive presentation, and again, I encourage you to scan the QR codes. Let me know if any case you cannot scan them, because I'm going to make the screen bigger again. And I think for some reason, when I do the screen bigger, you can see that the QR codes disappear. So my apologies for that. Anyways, Eya, I'm going to give a very brief introduction because Eya's professional and academic experience is very broad. So I'm trying to do my best summarizing all your expertise. So our speaker, Eya, is a natural resources and environmental engineer, and she also holds a master's degree in public health. As I said, she's currently based in Poland, where she works as an environmental project implementation manager at R2Eco. With a very, very strong commitment to sustainability, she has worked across multiple countries and languages, including Arabic, her native language, and she has been conducting research on water resource management in Tunisia, for instance, where I think you are currently, yes. Also coordinating waste and water life cycle management studies in Switzerland, assessing renewable energy in Latvia, and leading tree planting initiatives in Spain, Barcelona, if I'm not wrong, and France. So Eya, again, thank you very much for having the play. We are very happy of having you today with us. And on behalf of Youth Proactive, big welcome to our conversation.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you for inviting me for your last webinar. I'm really happy to be with you. And thank you also for the introduction of our company and a bit about my background. I just put it in the chat our link for the website in case there is any problem with the QR code or something like that. And I would like to mention that we have this presentation in 5 languages, in Polish, English, Arabic, French, and Russian. So if any one of you is interested to have our presentation or to check our website, feel free to do it. So I would just add a bit about our company. We are a small company based in Łódź, Poland. and which is the industrial city of Poland. So it's very growing city. It's very international and becoming more international. And Poland as a country also is a very, very, very growing country. And there is a lot of efforts when it comes to sustainability and to environmental protection in general. First, aligning with the European Union obligations, I would say law and a lot of strategy to be, carbon neutral and all these green deals we are trying to implement. At the same time, there is a lot of foreigners that are coming to Poland and are working there, including myself. So, about Air2Eco, we are a small startup of 10, 11 environmental engineer mostly, and we are doing a lot of environmental permits. We are doing studies, we are doing training as well, and I'm working also as trainer in this company. We are providing training in carbon footprint calculation, life cycle assessment, circular economy. So all the very, very, very important tool you should have to first assess your life as individual, and why not inside of organization to aim to be more eco-friendly and having more sustainability approach. So we are working currently on Poland, but we are also working on international level, and this will be also one of our topics.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Aya. Just letting all the presents know that I will share all the resources you share with me, with our usually thank you email with a recording of the webinar and additional resources. So, all the people that have registered to attend the webinar, they also can have access to all the information that we are going to provide. So yeah, I think it's now time that we move to our questions, the ones that we wanted to go in more deeper, more in detail. And you just mentioned the work that you are doing at your organization. You are based in Poland. You are very connected, with all the law framework of the Green Deal and so on. And the question that the question that we have prepared for you, the first one, this is a little bit more broad in a sense, and it's more connecting of how can we integrate sustainable practices. And we have seen that you have this experience in life cycle assessment, sustainability strategies, and so on in different countries, European, EU, and non-EU. And we a Youth Proactive work mostly with youth people. So trying to fill the gap, connect the big Green Deal setting framework with how we can apply this into practice. This is really a key element for us. So in your experience with all this vast knowledge you have, what are the most effective ways for young Europeans and also beyond young Europeans to incorporate sustainable practices into their daily lives? So in a way, it's how we go from theory, all this knowledge you have as an engineer, as someone who is working with a lot of data, how can we incorporate all of this into a more practical daily life?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's very important topic because sometimes it can be overwhelming to see all these, I would say, buzzwords, because when you are using a lot of words without knowing the real meaning, it's becoming something overwhelming. If we are talking about climate change, life cycle assessment, sustainability in general, this term also is becoming something that many, many, many people get scammed by also. So it's very important to have the understanding. What does it mean? Why do I have, for example, to pay extra to get this product? Why should I have a sustainability approach, and why should I have this eco-friendly life? So I will start first of all by introducing in a very simple way what does life cycle assessment mean. Because personally, I think life cycle assessment with carbon footprint that we are going to talk about later, it's very important tools that everyone should have, because it will help you on many, many, many level. So basically, life cycle assessment means that you are going to assess your products from the raw material extraction until the end of life. So for example, if I'm having this phone, I will say this phone is going to generate waste, or it's going to have environmental impact only when it's not working, when I'm going to throw this phone. But this is a very wrong approach, because if we are going to talk about life cycle assessment, I'm going to see the whole process my phone get into in order to get this phone and in order to use it. Same can be applied for tomato. For example, if I am in Poland and I'm getting tomato from Morocco, let's say, you will be saying it's only tomato, doesn't make any sense. But if we are going to see the chemical used for producing this tomato, the engines used, the electricity to store it, the transportation, everything is generating some environmental impact. So this is the mindset you should have, that every product you are buying is generating pollution from the raw material extraction. Raw material, for example, if I'm going about steel extraction, about mines. So this is why we always say that we should make our mentality more switching to sustainability. That means that you shouldn't consume more. So this is a very first step to understand how can I be in a sustainability approach? How can I have this mindset shift? A second thing, which is very important, many people will be asking themselves, why should I have eco-friendly life? Why should I switch to sustainability? And this is very, very important to understand,
Mm.
because we overconsume the word climate change, we overconsume the word of loss of biodiversity. But some people are maybe saying, but I'm not related to that. But basically we are all related, because even as a youth or a small entrepreneur or a young person in early career or even at the end of career, if you are not being updated, if you are not keeping yourself informed about all sustainability, what does it mean? You will be left out. So it's a skill. I would say that sustainability approach is no longer only for environmental engineer or people who are working in this field. So if you want to guarantee your place as financial accountant, as a lawyer, as any kind of job you are willing to have, as marketing also, as a product manager, what kind of job you are having is 100% related to sustainability. So once you have this mindset that being in a sustainable strategy, in a sustainable approach will save you money first, because you are going to consume less, will save you a lot of environmental impact. If we talk about climate change, it's appearing everywhere. We are seeing the impact of climate change in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, Australia, in any country, because we are talking about people losing their places where to live, they are losing their jobs. If we are talking about fire, for example, including Italy, Spain, France, imagine you say, I don't care about climate change, and the next day the industry or the building you are working in is on fire.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you are 100% related to climate change. And I would say most of important way our strategy is to have something called 3R method. It's 100% connected to life cycle assessment. It's reduce first,
Mhm.
reuse, and recycle. That means that even if I have, for example, one dress and I would like to buy another dress, I will reduce my consumption, because I know first I will spend more money. Second, the conception and the manufacturing of this dress is having environmental impact. So I will reduce my cost, I will reduce my environmental impact. At the same time is reuse. If I don't want, for example, to wear this dress anymore, I can sell it, I can gain money. And recycle, if we are going to talk, even you can use, for example, this tissue for anything, or if you are talking about glass or about plastic or any, I would say, mostly common products, you can recycle it. So this is the most important mindset to have. But if we are going to say step by step, because I don't want to give some overwhelming steps that can be a bit hard to absorb, we are starting first by learning. It's very important to learn, to attend webinars. We are having a lot of resources, a lot of courses everywhere. First, you are going, as I said, to guarantee your place in the market, because you are going to have a lot of knowledge that are 100% needed. Now recruiters, they want you to have sustainability approach. Doesn't matter in which field you are.
Yeah.
Second thing is to assess your lifestyle. Once, for example, you have this critical thinking, if we are talking about switching your mindset from traditional, conventional, non-responsible consumer, you are going to switch your life, and you are going to gain some critical thinking also skills, because you are going to start to ask yourself, do I really need this thing? Do I really have to buy a car instead of using public transport if I have very convenient transport in my country? So it's going to first give you a lot of satisfaction as someone, and it's going to affect your mental health also, because now we are living in a very stimulated world. We are all using, for example, social media. We are seeing all people having purpose, and some youth will be, I don't have any purpose in life. This can be a start. This can be a start that you are going to have sustainable mindset. You are going to switch your life into more responsible, more eco-friendly person. So it's going to impact health, physical health, of course, if you are living in a better environment, mental health, you are going to save money. And this is why assessing your lifestyle means that, for example, you are going to say, I'm using a lot of water, for example. I can use this water to reuse it for example, for my trees, for my plants. For every step you are doing, you can start to ask yourself, what can I do to be better in environmental way? So assessing your life is very important. And then we are going to have the steps of, for example, calculating your carbon footprint. Later we are going to explain how we can do it. Switching to public transport, using, for example, second-hand clothes, or trying to build and raise awareness among your community. And also now we are very exposed to digital world, to social media, to every website we are using. Also, we should keep in mind that even sending email can have an environmental impact. I
Yes.
will give you a small fun fact. If you are having or sending 65 emails, it's equal to driving 1 kilometer per car. So imagine how many emails you should send. Imagine how many, for example, subscription for many magazine, for many websites. So for every step we are doing, you are having some environmental impact. So it's very important to switch to sustainability, sustainable transport. But you should be always aware that if I go, for example, if I live in Poland and I go and I buy sustainable product coming from Morocco, I'm not doing anything good, because even this product is sustainable, is organic, but it's not 100% eco-friendly, because I'm adding all the transport from Morocco to Poland, from Morocco to Spain. So it will encourage you also to consume local food.
Mm.
This is why we say, if you want to be eco-friendly person, you should consume your local food. So it's basically, I would say, the most effective way is to learn. Because if you go and look on the internet, what are the ways to become sustainable person, you will have a lot of idea, a lot of information. So it's also very clear to everyone, so we shouldn't take a lot of time to explain this point, but it's very important to learn and to have the right material. And there is a lot of resources, so even if you are not 100% convinced by climate change and all these, I would say, theory that many people think that are not 100% real, you are going to have a career shift. You are going to have more money because you are going to save, and most important, you are going to feel a lot of satisfaction out of that.
Wow. I fully agree. And now that I was deeply listening, Aya, I was thinking that probably the Spanish ones here in the webinar remember that many years ago there was this slogan by this foundation, Fundación Natura in Spain, that used to say, "Act locally, think globally." And this connects a lot, no, with this idea of, okay, consuming locally and thinking on the implications of our daily acts, no? And as you say, this mindset, this is a shift that needs to operate first like the individual level, but considering the community level. And
Yeah.
it takes time, maybe it takes an effort, but definitely it pays off. And personally, this is something that, it connects a lot with my daily approach, to sustainability. And definitely it pays off because it gives you a better understanding of your environment and the actual environmental needs. Just
Yeah.
one thing I'm realizing, sorry for this, is technical, but we have a comment by one of the participants in the chat letting us know that there is some issues with the sound. Just verifying, is everybody able to hear us properly? Are you, yes? All okay? Fine. So probably, I don't know who was the person in the chat. Let me check. Van Gogh, Eric, lovely Eric. Thank you, but thank you very much, Eric, for letting us know. And if any of you experience any IT issue, please report us in the chat. And one thing before we move to the second question, Eya, we have the Q&A session following the conversation with Eya, but in the meantime, questions arise because this is such a rich topic that I know that there are many questions that you would like to share with us. Feel free to use the chat. We will address everything following our third question with Eya. So you were already mentioning that we are going to talk about the footprint, carbon footprint reduction, Eya. So you have already been giving us a little bit of glimpse of what this is about, but definitely we need to learn more because as you were saying, as individuals, we have a responsibility and we have also the power to act. So addressing this second question, Eya, can you discuss with us the key challenges, opportunities in measuring and reducing the carbon footprint, and how can young people, and I would say everyone as individuals, as citizens, use these insights, these tools to initiate local sustainability projects? And I really put emphasis in the local dimension because this is very powerful. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
the floor
I
is yours again.
thank you. And for the second part of the question, I will give some examples of really powerful projects that anyone in this webinar can start to implement. But first of all, I would like to introduce and to define what does carbon footprint mean. This is, I would say, a new term. It's younger, or if it's true word, it's now more appearing than, for example, sustainability. So now we shifted from sustainability to have the sustainability approach. Now we are talking about tools. So for me, if I will define carbon footprint in a very easy way, it's our earthly signature. It's the tool, it's the unit that calculate our impact. If I am going to calculate distance, I will use kilometers, for example. But if I am going to calculate environmental impact, I will use carbon footprint. So basically, carbon footprint is an equation. It's some engineering equation that it's a translator, I would say. It's translate every action I am doing into CO2 emission. So if, for example, I'm eating tomato coming from Spain, where I'm in Poland, it will be multiplied by one specific factor. This factor is how we can get these factors through the life cycle assessment, through studying the whole process of my tomato, and then I will come up with a factor that when I will multiply my consumption in kilograms in tomato, exported tomato, by this factor, I will get the emission by CO2. But if we say carbon footprint, we are talking about greenhouse gases in general. We are not only talking about CO2, but CO2 is the most widely known, I would say, gas. So this is why we always focus on the word carbon footprint, not all gases footprint. So it's basically translate all our actions into carbon footprint or carbon emissions. So for every activity, transport, food, I don't know, watching something on the internet, every action has a specific factor that you are going to multiply it to get the CO2 emission by this activity. So it's a very important tool, and it's a very powerful tool if you are going to shift into more sustainable lifestyle. But as you said, there is a lot of challenges. First, I will say is understanding, and you have to learn, you have to do a lot of research to learn about this tool. How can I assess my life? Because we said in the first part of the webinar that if you are going to have a sustainability lifestyle, you are going to assess your life. Assessing your life, the first and most important tool I would say is carbon footprint. So the challenges are learning, finding the data also, because as individual, if I want to start by calculating my carbon footprint, and there is a lot of websites that offers free assessment of carbon footprint for individual. So I will start by multiplying my energy bills, my energy consumption by such a factor to get my CO2 emission or my CO2 contribution, if we can call it this way, to the earth, and what are we going to have this impact. And then we are going to talk about waste, we are going to talk about water consumption and about transport. So these are the most important part. But how we are going to get this data? Also, a second challenge is to get the real data. For example, if I am a student and living in a student dorm, and I'm not paying, for example, electricity individually,
Mhm.
or I'm having this, all included kind of rent, it can be a bit hard to get your own electricity usage. If you are paying electricity, but you are living with people, it's also a bit complicated to know how much you have used. Of course, if you are a professional, if you are into the field, you can check by your device. You can check, for example, your device by hour of consumption, but it's more, I would say, complicated and more advanced for someone who is starting to have this mindset. So
Mhm.
it's a bit complicated to have the data. A second thing is to have the factor, and later we are going to talk about international collaboration, not only European collaboration, because in Europe it's still a bit advanced. So if you go to the website of, I don't know, if I'm using electricity provider number X, for example, or named X, these providers should have in their website mentioned the factor per kilowatt. For example, if I'm using 1 kilowatt of electricity from provider number one, they should mention the factor. I
Mm.
can, for example, multiply by y, or I would say by 5. I multiply kilowatt per 5 to get, for example, my CO2 emissions coming from electricity. This is for Europe, and this is for also not all European country, not all electricity providers are giving this data. But if we are talking, for example, in Tunisia or any other African country, some energy providers are not mentioning this idea, these factors. So sometimes getting the data is a bit complicated when it comes to carbon footprint calculation. And I was using some websites to calculate carbon footprint for myself to try how it works in these websites. And sometimes only advanced country are there. Even not all European country are in there. So the lack of data is a challenge.
Mhm.
But if we are going to have this shift of mindset, you have also to shift your mindset into a challenge means an opportunity. So, what are the opportunities that you can have as youth? You can start first by having some raising awareness campaign in your local and very 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 local I would say community. If you are living with other people and you want, for example, to know your carbon footprint, you will tell this idea to your colleague or to your flatmate or to your roommate, and you will start to consume less energy first. And second, these people are going to have an idea, okay, so carbon footprint means that and that and that. Another opportunity, I would say, for reducing and calculating carbon footprint is to be in this field, especially in the place where there is not a lot of, I would say, environmental awareness, is to be in this field and try to help the companies. If we are talking about electricity, if we are talking also about students, we can have an assessment of the transport. If we have, for example, a school bus,
Mhm.
why not work as a project, as, for example, end of studies thesis or project, to
Mhm.
assess, for example, the transport owned and used by the school. So all these are an opportunity. If you don't have factors, if you don't have the data, you can start to work on this data, and this is it can be applied for everyone, especially for students, if they want to understand what kind of thesis they can have. So it can be very good opportunity to start something and to help to understand what does carbon footprint mean. And for the opportunities in a wider approach, now, even if you are going to have your own business, I know that youth now have a lot of ideas. There is a lot of small business. There is a lot of new entrepreneurs. I would say I will have a small, very small business of sustainable fashion. And I will give you one fact about fashion. In the last 10, 15 years, there is a 90% growth in this field when it comes to sustainable fashion. So it's something very, very, very powerful. So if I'm going to be a small entrepreneur creating my own, for example, dresses, now I'm small, okay, I can neglect the environment part, but then there will be growth. There will be,
Mhm.
for example, funding. There will be investors. Some big designer, for example, liked your dress. It can be applied for any product. I'm just making it simple so anyone can understand that. And then they will start to ask you, what's your sustainability approach? And you have none. It's a big problem
Yeah.
because now no one is willing to invest in a project that doesn't have sustainability approach. Now sustainability should be the first in every proposal because something is sustainable means something lasts forever or lasts for a long time. I mean, this is a definition, and of
Mhm,
course, we can say sustainable about environment.
mhm,
So everyone should have this sustainable mindset. And if we are going also to see a bit in the history, we can learn also from older people. This is why it's very important that you said not only youth should be in the sustainability. For example, older people, our grandparents,
mhm,
uh, for example, for meat, they were not using meat from the freezer, or they were not cooking with a lot of equipped things. So they were basically drying this meat, trying to use some traditional way. So they were healthy. This is why these people are healthy, and they are consuming less energy if they have any, because before there is no electricity. So it's very important to create this connection also with the past. So
mhm,
being, as I said, in a sustainable mindset and switching your lifestyle, it's very important because you can connect. For example, you can ask your grandmother, how were you doing this,
mhm,
and start to raise awareness about that. So it's
yeah,
basically learning from webinars, opportunities to have your own workshop, opportunities to be in this field because this market is very, very, very growing.
mhm,
So these are the opportunities for reducing carbon footprint and for measuring it. But I would say for young people to have some local project, it's very important. Now a lot of people want to be an entrepreneur, as I said. If you don't have your own project, your own sustainable products, one of the most important thing now, if we talk about logistic, for example, is the packaging. Even
mhm,
if you are going to have a sustainable product, but it's in plastic, so it's not sustainable. So one of the best projects, one of the best local, I would say, project is to use something you are having in your place, in your city, to use it as a packaging. Can you
mhm.
hear me? Because I think there is a problem with.
No, no, no.
Okay,
I can.
okay.
100%. Yeah.
I said
I'm very
it's
focused listening to you.
because I was seeing your face not moving. I
No,
was
no, 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 no,
thinking
no. I'm
maybe
like,
it's
yeah.
it.
You are giving us
Okay.
ideas. Yeah, that's a thing.
Okay. So I said two tools are important: life cycle assessment, carbon footprint, and they are all in the circular economy
Mhm,
way of living. Circular economy also involve using waste as products. For example, I will give you one brand project I've seen once on LinkedIn. There is, I think, two entrepreneurs. They had this idea of the small soap. When you go, for example, to a hotel or you go to a restaurant or any public place, people, they cannot use like very small soaps. They are going to throw it.
yeah.
And these people came up with the idea to gather this soap for free because it's free product and they are going to waste in both cases.
Hmm.
So they are using this soap and to make a new soap. So basically, the raw material is
Ah.
there, and they are going to boil it. They are going to make sure it doesn't have any bacteria, and then they are starting a new project out of it. So you have to have this mindset. What are the waste in my city?
Yes.
What are the things that I can use and give a value? This is the most important. Is not to, for example, export some products from, I don't know, USA to start a sustainable product. You
Mhm,
have to assess. You have to have this critical mindset. For example, another local project, another small project that can start. You can be ecotourism guide. For example, there is a lot of cities or in Europe or in Africa or whatever. They are always complaining about the number of tourists.
mhm.
Not because they hate tourists, but because there will be overpopulation, a lot of cars, a lot of
Yeah.
people living there, and it will be stressful. Why not to make a solution for this problem? And this
Mhm.
is what means a successful business. You have
Yeah.
to turn the problem into solution.
Think a solution. Yeah.
So you can start by introducing, for example, the local food. You can start by showing them the most important part. You can make a walking tour instead, for example, of using cars. So this eco-friendly guide can be, for example, a part-time job for some
Mhm,
student who is
mhm,
going
yeah,
to another city. Also sustainable events. A
mhm,
lot of companies with a lot of corporate social responsibility are going to, for example, do team building, are going to do a lot of events, and they would like to have some sustainable partner who organize that. I saw
lovely.
once, for example, people, in weddings, they are throwing these like paper, small
Yeah,
paper,
yeah, see,
and I saw a lot of people who are working with trees, like the leaf of trees. Of course, not to go and take it from the tree, but I would say dead trees or some, they are going already to waste. They are making like small shapes, small heart, and they are going to distribute it for people who want, for example, eco-friendly weddings. So
wow.
there's a lot of idea recycling, and I will finish one of most important idea is everyone wants to make friends. Also, sometimes as an adult, it's hard to make friends. But if you are living in an area, you can have like a cleaning event. Tree planting events are also very, very, very important.
I
So you can have this networking to meet people, to do some tree planting events. And on bigger level, there is a lot of people who decided to switch from material gifts into moral gifts. That means that, for example, instead of giving someone a dress, they can give him a certificate of one tree, that, for example, you are owner of this tree, and this tree is going to have some environmental impact. So it's very powerful if you are going to see surrounding you what are the problems and how you can have a sustainability approach. And of course, this is very important once you know the carbon footprint and the most important tools to assess your lifestyle in general and the lifestyle of your whole surrounding. So
yeah.
these are my thoughts about this topic, and I think there is a lot of ideas, but you just have to really focus on this topic, and it can be also a source of money and a full-time job.
Yes, I do agree. Thank you very much. Very comprehensive, Aya, and a lot of food for thought, definitely. And two comments from my side. First of all, I did my carbon footprint when I was in college many years ago. And as you mentioned, it was very challenging because it was the full pack. I was paying the rent, but all the utilities were included. And I remember with, my, the ladies that we were living in the same area, we didn't know how to evaluate this. It was like, and we didn't have the tools to know this. And the only way we could, persevere was, including a more sustainable, mindset in our lives. And it would be great to know you really, because a lot of young people, especially they are moving now to university, they live in these common spaces. And if you really want to evaluate your carbon footprint, there are so many challenges, as you mentioned. And my second comment and connecting, youth and elderly, we need this intergenerational dialogue. And I agree so much with you. We can learn a lot from our grandparents, elderly people living in our villages, in our cities, in our neighborhoods, because their lives were very sustainable in the past, maybe 50, 60 years ago, or even in some more rural areas. And a comment that I hear a lot following COVID. A lot of people, we were having this webinar a couple of weeks ago with the founders of Pueblos Remotos, remote villages. And we were addressing, the case of so many young people moving from cities to more rural areas and walking in a way, in having this conversation with history. Like, how can we really readapt our lives to make a profit? Because they are moving to more rural areas, but they are entrepreneurs, they want to create new businesses. But there is a need of connecting with our history, of learning different ways that were very, they were working in the past. And the example of the tree that you mentioned, these beautiful examples that we can really apply. So a lot of food for thought. So I think Ella has given us plenty of ideas to apply into our daily lives, local lives, future projects, entrepreneurs here with us today. So that was fantastic. Thank you very much. And now you were already giving a little mention to the international partnerships. So give me just 1 second. Let's go for this third and last question, which in a way moves us from the more local dimension, what can we do as an individuals, to also what can we do into a more regional, European, beyond Europe level. And this is a very important element as well of the European Green Deal, that definitely the next years will give us a lot of answers, but let's see what Ella can let us know now. So international collaboration and sustainability. So you already mentioned a little bit about this, Ella, give us a glimpse, but you are working in the Polish context, also, with the North African continent. So how has international collaboration, as mentioned again, your work in the Polish context, African entrepreneurs, contributed to sustainability efforts, and how can young Europeans, also adults, elderly Europeans, get involved in similar activities? So we are moving into a terrain that is a little bit more political in a way, that has wider implications. It's the international partnerships. So from your vast experience, how can we contribute? How can we create durable, sustainable change in this field?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Because, as I have mentioned, I'm doing training in my current job, and one of the most, I would say, impactful graphic I've seen. Once I was looking for some material to create the training material and training presentation, and it was about carbon neutrality in Europe, and there was like a world map, and only the strategy were mentioned for Europe. So for me, this is a very critical thinking, because there is no sustainable Europe, there is no green Europe if we don't have green world, green USA, green Australia, green Africa, green Asia. So green Europe alone is not enough. And this is why in Erto Eco, where I'm working currently, we are trying to spread this awareness and to show the example, because we all know that Europe is one of the most powerful continent when it comes to fighting climate change, to have strategy, to have this agility, and to act very, very, very quick, I would say. But this is not enough. We should have more. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but you
Okay.
were kind of frozen for a moment.
Yeah,
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 we
yeah. Okay.
were, yeah. Your voice was perfect. It was just the screen frozen.
Okay.
Yes.
So I said this is why we want to focus on international collaboration.
Mhm.
And international collaboration means to give the example. For example, one of our strategies when it comes to work with African partners is to look for organizations who have sustainability mindset, who are working on the environment, and we do offer them free training about
Mhm.
carbon footprint, about life cycle assessment, about different topics. And although we are a small company, we are not corporate, and we are doing this 100% for free, for sharing, for showing the example. So it's very, very important for us to show how we can impact others people life by educating them about all these laws and all these approaches. So when it comes to sharing these, when it comes to, for example, if I'm talking about one country, we have 4 or 5 partners, and we educate them about, for example, European Green Deal, about Fit 55 package, about carbon neutrality. These people are going to have some impact on local policy. If we are going to talk about 5 organizations or even one organization that's going to spread the information, the sustainability practices we have shared with them, this can be a change maker, because we cannot make change if we are not talking about big big scales. They start from small organization, from small people. So it's very important to keep all this information when it comes to sharing the passion, enlightening people about sustainability. It's very, very, very very important. And when it comes to youth, because now we are speaking about uh, enterprises, about organization, if we are going to talk about inequality in general, now the environmental inequality is one of the most important topic, because now we have people suffering, for example, in Latin America to get all the mining,
Mhm.
while other people are trying to be sustainable, for example, in Europe. But all the raw material extraction is not going in Europe.
Yeah.
If we are going to talk about waste management, for example, including Tunisia, we had before this problem that we have some waste coming from Europe to be processed here in Tunisia, in Africa, just to say sustainable Europe. So it's very important that we keep in mind that sustainability doesn't mean only using the products or going to extract the material from Latin America or Africa or whatever, and then using low electricity or low energy consumption devices. And
Mhm.
when it's going to waste, you are going to throw it away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not sustainability.
No.
So this is why sustainability, even when we say about Europe, it's very important to have sustainable world, sustainable globe, because if people in Asia and Africa and US are keeping the things in the same way and going to have more emissions and going to not care about the environment, even European people will be impacted. So
Totally.
sustainability shouldn't
Totally.
be only specific. I mean, even inside Europe, we have a lot of countries that are more advanced when it comes to sustainability. Other countries that are not 100% committed. Other countries they have only the law, but in practice there is nothing.
Mhm.
So I would say it's very important to bring this topic in
Mhm.
international level. I would say in global level.
Yeah.
At the same time, doing the local project. So it's very
Yeah.
important to have both
Yeah.
people working inside a region and people working on more international level. So this is why we are working on international level and we are trying to do our best to help other people to understand all the sustainability, all the new terms that we are currently having, and the efforts we are trying to do to be more sustainable. But it's very important also to have the help and the local help, maybe the national help for small companies like ours to continue doing this mission, because at certain time it's very hard to continue
Of course.
educating people for free, for example, especially for small companies. So this is one point. The second point is how can youth be involved in similar activities. So we can have a lot of opportunities because now we are in a digital world.
Mhm.
You can be in Tunisia working and helping people, for example, from Cameroon, people from China, people from any country in the world. So it's very important to first learn about sustainability, look for small
Mhm.
organization, for example, in every country, even from Europe to Europe, is to help them. If, for example, you have some practice you are doing in your local level or even individual level, share it with other people, because one of the most important thing for me is, for example, here in Africa, we still have a lot of plastic problem because recycling is not that advanced. But
Okay.
there is a lot of people who are using this plastic to create some products to like to give it a second life. This
Second
is
life.
also a part of
Okay.
life cycle assessment. For example, glass, people are doing, for example, some decoration with glass because there is no way to recycle. So it's very important, even when you are trying to connect with people, is to learn, to give them
Mhm.
some advice, but to learn also. And this is what I mean also by older people. They have all the
Yes.
needed knowledge on how to deal with pollution, with the waste. So it can be, as I said, internship. It can be online internship, membership as well in many organizations. If we are going also to say about webinars,
Mhm.
people they can create their own webinar. To create a webinar now is not that complicated because we have social media, we have a lot of platforms where we can share. And as I said, if it's possible to visit and to do on-site training, on-site uh, learning, it's very very important. As I said, it's very important to have this share. When you are sharing things, you are learning as well, because it's very dynamic and you are going to have a lot of purpose and a lot of satisfaction from all the work. So this is my insights about this question.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much, Aya. And you just mentioned something that for me, it really resonates a lot and probably resonates with many of you here today. We have a product here, as you show us your phone before, my phone too, and you were mentioning that
Mhm,
maybe the raw products are coming from Chile, are coming from other countries.
mhm,
I think we need to raise this level of awareness of this long cycle, life cycle that you mentioned in the first question. It's not only being I try to have a sustainable lifestyle, but I try to know where the things I'm using are coming from. Because as you mentioned, no, that
Mhm.
I can try to eat organic, but maybe I'm eating organic tomatoes from Morocco and I'm in
Yeah.
Brussels. So I think, this level of awareness and how can we connect at the international level, and all these private public partnerships and bringing the local to the international to the local. And just remembering the last COPs, no, COP 27, COP 28, that there were so many discussions about this, no, the importance of
Mhm.
bringing these local voices. And definitely I agree with you, and I congratulate what R2ECO is doing in this context, no, to open the conversation and to educate and raise awareness. So thank you very much. And I have to say, we have so much food for thought here. Unbelievable, yeah. I think we can be talking hours and hours. And I have to say that on behalf of everybody, you have educated us in core topics, in core issues that we really, must incorporate. I think this is a must incorporate into our daily lives, and also knowing that change, systemic change, because I think that the change that we need to address is systemic here, and we need to create is possible. So on behalf of all of us present, thank you very, very much for this insightful conversation. However, we are not finished because I was just evaluating now the chat, checking the chat, and we already have 3 questions that I think
Mhm.
are a second webinar, are the part two of this webinar. That's my feeling. So let me just stop sharing. I think it would be nice to see everybody faces here. So we have 5 minutes left, but if everyone is happy, we can extend an additional 5 minutes. Eya, if you agree with me. So we will have a little
Mhm.
bit more of time to answer these questions. And if I think we have still time for 2 more questions, if someone from the public feels like asking any question in the chat. But in any case, we will start with Vanessa's Vernica question. So Eya, I think I'm going to read the question very slowly
Okay.
so everyone can hear. So Vanessa is mentioning that a major problem with the carbon footprints is also that they are caused by authorities who don't seem to care too much about the devastating effects of their actions. An example is an action made by a Romanian company who extracts oil from the sea and this caused the elimination of an enormous amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. Fortunately, there is an international community in which I'm a member. She's a member from Greenpeace, is telling us. And Greenpeace is currently releasing a project to stop the act of this specific company through urging people to send emails to the Ministry of the Environment for asking them to stop the act of extracting too much oil from the sea. I think this is a great occasion for people, especially for the youth, to implicate in the improvement of the climate. So in conclusion, that I think that it's crucial that the authorities take care more about the community's opinion. So I think, Eya, these questions connects a lot, no, with on the one hand, the role of international organizations, in this specific case, Greenpeace, but also, the role of the government and civil society in a sense. So if you would like, to give us a little bit of what is your opinion, how to proceed in a context like this, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that's a very good comment, I would say, and the
Yes.
question, because we can also see, for example, for the COPE, as you have mentioned, if we are going to talk about the big summit and the big event, whether it's going to discuss sustainability, but a lot of people are using private airplanes to go there, or they are flying instead of, for example, taking some transport when it's possible, of course. So I think we should keep doing the pressure, and the more people engaged in these actions, the bigger is the impact. Because, for example, Greenpeace, okay, it's a big organization, but I will give the example of small organization. If you are sending emails to authorities and they are not answering, there is no impact. We should have the mindset of sharing, and this is also a problem because a human being sometimes is selfish. They want to keep their information, they want to be exclusive, the
Mm.
only organization that's fighting that. But when it comes to changing a mindset, to being part of climate change policies, and to make things I would say better and to have a very good impact, you should share. You should engage as much people as you can. For example, now if you have Greenpeace, okay, that's powerful. They have a lot of like important people there. I would say they have a lot of power. But still, you can, for example, instead of sending only from Greenpeace, you can engage 20 other organizations.
Mm-hmm.
All these organizations are sending emails. Sometimes there should be quality and quantity, so it's very important to keep pushing, to keep giving this pressure to make an impact. So for me, this is very it's a long trip, I would say. It's a
Mhm.
long process, but it's still worth it to keep fighting and to keep engaging more people, and
Yeah.
to use also the social media is very important.
Yeah, thank you. Collaborative effort. I do agree. It's like more
Yeah.
people. Yeah, I do agree. Holding hands together in that sense. Thank you, Ella, and thank you very much, Vanessa, for the comment and all the best in your work with Romania and Greenpeace. Okay, so we have two more questions. One is from Eric Fongo. I think I'm pronouncing it well. So Eric is wondering, how can the carbon footprint projects integrate into the carbon market?
You mean carbon market is about offsetting when it's come to carbon purchasing? If this is the case, it's very important question, because there is a lot of initiative, for example, to do big tree planting initiative
Yeah.
or big renewable energy panels. So there is a long process to register this project. If you want to be part of the carbon market, you should make audit. Yeah, carbon offsetting. Okay, so you should have audit. You should have certified auditors to judge the quality of the project. For
Mm.
example, I was previously working in tree planting initiative where it's meant to be offsetted. So if we are going to talk about tree planting, they should make sure that the trees you are planting are suitable for this place. So it's not greenwashing, because this is also a very important term. We can have some webinar about greenwashing, because this term
Yes.
is very important. So they should make sure that you are using the right trees, and these trees are sustainable. That means that
Mhm.
they are going to live, for example, at least 25 years. So you should meet the
Mm.
requirements for these projects. If we are going to talk about tree planting, but there is a lot of projects for carbon offsetting. And then if you are certified, you can start to sell the credits. But very important thing, if to also to avoid greenwashing, that for every company that made, for example, offset by, I don't know, 20,000 tree, there should be a certification for that, so we can avoid double counting.
Ah.
Because for some projects, they can, for example, have, I don't know, 1 million tree, but this 1 million tree, they are selling it 3 times. They give, for example, certification for organization or for individual also who want to do carbon offsetting without certification. So basically, they can sell again, but each tree has a specific impact. So it should be calculation, assessing the project, and to prepare the certification for that. There is a lot of resources, and there is a lot of organization that can help to register projects. So it's very important topic.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eric, for the question. I completely agree. It's a very meaningful question. And greenwashing as well. Greenwashing is
Yeah,
a topic for our next webinar with you, Ella.
yeah,
Thank you. And let's close the webinar with Mr. Zafar's question, going back,
yeah.
circling the topic, Green Deal. And Mr.
Uh-huh.
Jafar is wondering, does the European Green Deal represent an opportunity for the EU to collaborate with regions like North Africa to promote sustainable and inclusive development while addressing global environmental challenges? Thank you very much for that question, Mr. Jafar.
Okay, thank you for the question. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure if there is any article specific to North Africa. I know the general approach of this European Green Deal, it's basically connected to European countries. And this is what we have said, that if we are going to talk about carbon neutrality, it's very important to include North Africa in this. And I think this one topic, this one challenge can be also a motivation for a lot of North African organization to take part into that. For example, such a webinar where we are connected with European. For example, Teresa, you are directly in this field, and you and your colleague and all the attendees to communicate that we don't want sustainable Europe if there is no sustainable Africa, for example. Of course, not in this firm way, but step by step,
Mm,
by collaboration, by, for example, helping African to align, even if we don't have the same, I would say, European Green Deal, we don't have the African Green Deal, but if we talk about Tunisian, Moroccan, North African, African organization, we are going to make impact by trying to cope, I would say, which is
mhm,
illegal copying, I would call it, to make some efforts and to show to policies that we are ready. The
mhm,
Tunisian, for example, are aware what's happening in France or Italy, which are one of the closest countries to us. So it's very important to start by implementing this, these deals in the country with the, of course, with the available resources. Because
mm,
also this is very important that we have limited resources compared to many European countries. But I would say I don't believe that there is a specific article, specific part only for Africa, but this is the goal of international collaboration, that step by step, and I think that the European mindset of
mhm.
sustainability should be changed as soon as possible, because, as I said, there will be no sustainable Europe if there is no sustainable globe in general.
Totally, totally. Fully agree. And I think this is a very pertinent question because it connects with this dimension of international partnerships. And if I'm not wrong, and this can be complemented, but I also don't have the full info.
Mhm,
Through the CNIAR, which is the Directorate General at the European Commission that deals with the, near countries,
mhm,
the enlargement countries, there are several plans to internationalize, to bring this international dimension to the Green Deal. But of course, advocacy has a big part on this, as you were mentioning, Eya, talking directly to policymakers, the ones that are, building the legislative part of the pact. And definitely, as you can say, there is no sustainable Europe without sustainable Africa and beyond. So
yeah.
definitely, 100% agree with you. And thank you, Mr. Jafar, for the question. Yes, thanks. So I think that we are coming to an end to this webinar, but definitely there is a continuation because, as you say, sustainability is a topic that is connected and it's transversal. You were mentioning this, no, in the first question. It's transversal. It's connected to whatever we do in our lives. I would say that connecting with all the European youth goals, sustainability is like transversal to all of them because it's affecting all the dimensions in our lives. And Eya, you have explained this so well with so many practical examples, with so many, theoretical frameworks, bring into reality, bring into daily life, into the local dimension. So big thanks to these words of wisdom, and to also, I think, giving us the feeling that we can really change, and we can really bring a lot of systemic change into our daily lives and our society and organizations. So on behalf of Youth Proactive and the ones here, thank you very much, Eya, for having this time with us.
Thank you, and I would like to really emphasize that we should make everything simple, and I would say that our role is to translate and to simplify this, I would say, very hard language, very overwhelming topics when you cannot really understand how you can act. So I think it's very important to collaborate, and in the future, why not to make more webinars. Also, we can make trainings about carbon footprint calculation for individual. For those who are interested, I can put my email here in the chat. So if you have any question or any need to have one training about the specific carbon footprint
Thank you.
calculation, we can have more webinars and to discuss these together.
Thank you.
So I would like to thank you also, Teresa, for this invitation to thank all youth proactive, all the attendees. It's very important to collaborate and to exchange together. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eya. And this, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is our last webinar before the summer break. So we will be back with our youth goal webinars on September, mid-September. And I want to wish all of you a pleasant, lovely summer and enjoy the time, and really looking forward to seeing you in a couple of months. So thank you very much for your collaboration and for being here with us, and wishing you all the best. Thank you. Shukran. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you, shukran. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.